Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is how to avoid property tax foreclosures. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. Today's show, ladies and gentlemen, is how to avoid property tax foreclosures. And we have the treasurer himself to tell you that, Eric Sabree. Good afternoon, Mr. Sabree.
Well, Marsha, thanks for inviting me to Just Ask again. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. You know what, Mr. Sabree, we get a lot of calls, and people are asking us here at Just Ask questions about the services that you provided at the treasurer's office. So we had to have you come back to give people a breakdown about how to avoid, their property taxes and, to get their property taxes to avoid foreclosures. So let's start off, the last time you were here, you gave us a wealth of information. So let's start off with some of those things.
I want to talk about what we do in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office in terms of foreclosure prevention. We only collect delinquent taxes in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. If the person pays their taxes on time, the current taxes, then we don't have anything to do with the collection of their taxes. And that's over 96% of the people in Wayne County pay taxes on time. And in the city of Detroit, it's about over 85, 86% pay their taxes on time. So they don't have anything to do with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. Their taxes are paid. We only collect those taxes that are unpaid to the cities or townships. They send them over to us for collection. So what we do, we notify people right away. And we let them know, your tax is delinquent. As soon as we get the notice, like March 1st from the cities rather to the county, and then we send out a notice in June to everyone who's delinquent. So they get a mailing from us. They're just about to get one,
Okay.
So
well, it's a scary note. So
it's a note saying, you owe these taxes. A lot of people are surprised because they thought they paid the city in full. Maybe they had a small balance. Maybe they forgot, or if they didn't take to the interest, they didn't pay attention to all the little things. So they may get a bill from us and say, what is this? I paid my taxes. So the first thing to avoid is make sure that your current taxes are paid in full.
Okay.
Then you don't have to worry about any foreclosure because your taxes are already paid. They're not delinquent. But if you didn't pay, and you didn't pay, and you got a delinquent bill, then the main thing is to get involved in making those payments as soon as possible, because this interest is being applied to the balance every month.
Okay, so what are some of the steps that people can utilize to avoid it, though?
Well, they can, like I said, start making payments. As soon as you get it, you have a delinquent bill. You can start making some payments. You can get into a payment agreement. If you're an owner of a residential property, this is your homestead, you can get into a payment agreement with us in the treasurer's office for very little money down, very little down. And these payment plans are good for 5 years. The interest is reduced from the regular 18% a year, which is a lot, to 6%.
Okay.
So the thing is, you can get into that payment agreement as soon as you have delinquent taxes.
Okay.
And that's for owners of residential property, homeowners.
Okay.
Now, everybody else, we have payment agreements only for the year before you're facing foreclosure, like the second year of delinquency. But you can still pay on it. You don't have to get into a payment agreement per se, but you pay, because those payment agreements are only good for 1 year at a time.
Okay.
And
1 year at a time.
10-month agreements.
Okay.
So that's what everyone else besides owner-occupied residential property owners.
But is that only for foreclosure? So the people are making payment arrangements, if their house is going into foreclosure or before it goes into foreclosure?
Well, the first year you get a delinquent tax bill from us. If you're an owner of residential property, it's your homestead, you can get into an agreement right away.
Okay.
The other individuals, business owners, landlords, they can get into a payment agreement the second year of delinquency, the year before the foreclosure. But they can always make payments anytime.
Okay.
On their own.
So how is the appropriate amount determined, though?
Okay, we look at the balance. You have a balance. Let's talk about the homeowners, the residential property owners. Say you have a balance that's calculated based on what they call the base tax. So base tax is what the city or township sends over to us. So they send $2,000 bill to us. It's uncollected. It's base. That's your base tax. So if you have a $2,000 bill, we take 10% of the base tax, which is $200. That would be your down payment.
Okay.
And then you would pay 3% per month. So about a third of that $200, about $70, maybe a little less, you'd pay monthly. That's what would be the payment for the 1 year delinquency.
Okay.
So say, for instance, you didn't get into this payment plan till you got 3 years of delinquency. You got 3 years. Now you're facing foreclosure. So you say, okay, now I've got a $8,000 tax bill.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 10% of the base tax. That's the base that we get from the city, 2,000, add up to another 2,000, maybe it came up to maybe 8,000 total. Maybe taxes went up. So now it's 8,000. So 10% of that is $800. So you put down $800 and you get paid about a third of that per month. So it would be like 300, less than 300, 250, something like that.
But let me say this, because I'm going to speak like, I am a taxpayer. Okay. So if I see a bill that comes to my house and says, my taxes are delinquent or whatever, and you say like it's a $8,000 bill because that's the interest accrued on top of
interest, and
right,
the fees that we have,
right.
All this.
I'm going to be terrified when I see that bill like that.
That's why we say check it out the first year.
Okay.
Don't wait, because a lot of times people they put it off because they know they have 3 years. So if somebody says you got 3 years before you lose your home, but you need money for your car repair, you need money for your roof is leaking. You need money for your children's tuition, clothes, food, all the things that go on, utility bills, all these things that you have to pay. You need to pay those right now.
Right.
Whereas the house, you say, well, I'll catch up later, and I have 3 years. So a lot of times that's what happens. Wow. Our system is used like a line of credit.
Yeah.
It's used like it's a line of credit, basically. So people they have time to go raise this money and then pay it, but you're paying interest, and you run the risk of not being able to recover, not being able to have the money when it's needed, and get out of foreclosure. So that's what happens a lot of times.
And I see what you're saying, and I think that a lot of people do it that way, where they stagnate the bill because they feel like, well, right now I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, we're going to take a break, and ladies and gentlemen, you better get your pen and paper out because we got some good information here with the treasurer himself. So we'll be right back.
If you store your guns properly,
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
And I won't have to tell my kids, this isn't a drill.
Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always lock it up.
And welcome back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're saying, what? What did the treasurer say? Now, we're going to ask as many questions as we can of the Wayne County Treasurer himself, Mr. Sabree. So if you have a question, you can always send it in to me later and we'll get it over to him. But right now, he's going to try to, give you some steps and some information on how to avoid future foreclosure tax issues and how to set up payment plans or arrangements and all these different agencies that will support you in getting this stuff done. So I want you to take time out, get a pen and paper, and these flyers that you'll see come up on the screen, write those numbers down, give them a call, let them know that you want to take care of this matter before it gets too late. Don't lose your home or the family home because you are afraid to address this issue. And that's how we lose our things, is that we're afraid. So we're going to take fear out today and ask the treasurer as many questions as possible. Now, Treasurer Sabree, one question I got at the top of my list is that most people, not most, but some, live in a home that was originally their parents' home or family member's home, and that person is deceased, and they never took the home, they never changed the home over to themselves, it wasn't deeded to them or whatever. What happens when you have somebody who lives in a home and they're not their original homeowner's name?
let me tell you, Ms. Florence, I'm gonna tell you what happens. Excuse me. You know, a lot of times people, they don't do anything when someone passes away. The property just stays in the name of the deceased family member. They live in the home, and sometimes the family makes the decision who's gonna stay there. They say, well, let so-and-so stay there. He needs a place to live. And he just take care of the house, you pay the taxes, and just let it stay like it is. They won't do anything. They won't go anywhere, do anything. But what happens is the person that's there sometimes fall behind, and they don't say anything to anybody. They're ashamed that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, or they're afraid to ask because they say, well, maybe they'll kick me out of the house. I can't keep up. So it gets to the point where it's headed to foreclosure. Now what do? Well, we tell people, look, you have to go to probate court. And we have attorneys, nonprofit attorneys that can help you file a probate petition. And then the probate court will decide who gets the property in their name. If it's the person that's living there, then that person's already a resident. They become now the owner. And whoever becomes the owner, if they want to stay there, then they can get into a lower interest payment plan, not only with us, but they can also do some things with the city or township. They maybe apply for a grant, get some home repairs done. But all these things require you to be the owner and the occupant.
Right.
So it's really important. We take properties out of foreclosure. Even if they went to foreclosure, they're about to get foreclosed. If you file a probate petition, then we will remove that property from foreclosure while the probate process is going on. So we refer people to the attorneys that they can we have a staff person that works with us.
So you can get some free legal assistance.
You get some free legal assistance, which is it's hard to get free legal advice.
Very hard. But you know what, in that same note, okay, so the person is living in the home that their parents, passed in, and they don't have, they didn't change the home into their name. Okay. Well, now all of a sudden, when the taxes come and they're jumping them down, I got to do this. If probate is involved, isn't that a lengthy process for them to go through probate?
It's a little time consuming, but
so they shouldn't sit on it too long.
Right. Sometimes people have been living in these homes for years, like 10 years. They haven't done anything.
Right.
So we say, go file a probate petition. You'll get it in probate. If it takes 6 months, it may take a year, it may take more than that. But whatever it is, you have to start somewhere.
Okay.
And it involves a lot of other things too. Are there other people involved, siblings involved? Do they live in state or out of state? They got to be contacted. They have to be contacted because if they decide, we don't think this person should get the property or that person should get the property, maybe they object to certain things. The court has to listen to all of that.
But the foreclosure falls on the deceased persons, right?
It's the estate.
Right.
It's really the estate of the deceased person that's the foreclosure's on.
And then I come down there and I say, hey, my mom's deceased. I'm living in the house. Then you guys have to refer me to probate or tell me, hey.
We don't have to do anything.
Okay.
But we do it because it's the right thing to do. We know that the people don't know that they can get some assistance and avoid losing their property if they go to probate court. Because the probate court will decide who gets the property.
I know.
See, the foreclosure is really against the property, not the individual.
Right.
So
but that probate, people say, I got 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, and we're trying to avoid this, and that's how it gets all hung up.
Yeah.
So I do want to look at some of the information on the screen that we have that came in so that we can at least have some information for people to call on. And they can, address some of these questions that they have. Yeah. So this one here, facing tax foreclosure, payment plans are available. Help is here. Okay, so that's people calling your office directly. And as we're going over this information, that's the number they should call.
That's the number, 313-224-5990. And our website is treasurer.waynecounty.com. That's very important. A lot of good information on our website. You have to make an appointment to come in person. You can do it on the website. It's really easy. It takes just like 2-3 minutes. This is an important flyer here because this tells people that are signing up for payment agreements that just because you sign up for an agreement doesn't mean that you're you're safe from foreclosure.
Okay.
You have to actually make the payments.
Okay, so internet payment plan is only step one. You must make your payments to stay out of foreclosure. So I
Right.
came in the office, spoke to somebody, they told me what the steps were to do.
Yeah.
And I got excited about that because I came in.
Right. But you got into a payment plan, maybe your payment plan is $300 a month or whatever it is. But you're only making half the payments. Like maybe your first month you pay $300, next month you pay $150, next month you pay $100, next month you're back to $300 again, and next month you're just paying whatever. Okay, you're falling behind. You're falling behind every month. So this is when it comes time, you wonder, well, how did I get foreclosed? I was making payments every month.
Okay.
But you weren't making them according to the agreement. And if you can't do that, you need to contact our office. Let us know, because it may be something we can do to help you, because
So once you make that agreement, you make an agreement on a set amount, not
Yes.
just any old
right,
amount.
right.
Okay,
Set
okay,
amount.
people.
Because
okay.
I'm paying every month.
Okay.
Well, how could I lose my house? Well, you didn't pay according to the agreement.
And like you said, a payment plan only works if you make the payments. Don't just sign up, pay up, and avoid foreclosure.
And the lower payment interest plans that we call them the IRSPA, the Interest Reduction Stipulated Payment Agreement, that's IRSPA. That plan is 6% a year. That's the best plan for someone that's a homeowner. They own it and they live in the home. But if you don't make those payments, you get behind 3 or 4 months, then we remove you from that plan.
Okay.
But you go back to the 18% a year retroactively. So all your interest now, you're paying you're paying 12% more per year. If so this is something you don't want to do. Once you get in this plan, stay in it, make the payments, and don't fall behind, because once you start falling behind, then we can remove you from those plans, and you don't want to do that.
Okay, well, you said that on a nice, subtle note. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got that message. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
This isn't a workout video. It's about how LLS has helped blood cancer patients like me thrive, and how your donation can help countless others. Please give today at lls.org.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I do want to say to you all is that it is an honor and a pleasure to have the treasurer join us, because why? He's actually giving you educational food for thought so that you could be prepared when it's time to pay your taxes, so that you don't get caught up in the foreclosure. So if you see him come on a regular basis, that's because the treasurer himself feels it's very important for him to address the audience and give you the opportunity to take care of this responsibility before it gets too late or out of hand. And I am honored to have him here as a guest at the Just Ask Talk Show. So like I said, have your pens and paper out. Take the numbers that you see on the screen and give his office a call. And like you said, if it's a person with a disability or a senior and you're not computer savvy, you can call that number on the screen, and those people will still help you and give you appointments, schedule you to come in, or whatever is necessary to help you with those outstanding foreclosure bills or property tax requests. So, Treasurer, I'm hoping that that's okay.
That's great. Thank you for helping us get the word out. That's really, really valuable what you do, and it means a lot.
Well, thank you. Now, I do have a kind of a crazy question, but it's probably a possibility. If someone feel like they know somebody in the treasury office, they say, well, I shouldn't have to pay my taxes, or I shouldn't have to, I should get a break. Do people approach you guys like that?
Well, sometimes we hear people say that, they talk to someone, they say, I got a good connection in the treasurer's office. If you go through me, I can cut your taxes in half. They'll get scammed, basically. And so don't fall for that. I tell people don't fall for that, because every year 1 or 2 people come in and I say, well, you was trying to scam us. You were trying to pay less than you owed, and now somebody scammed you.
Wow.
See, so you fell for that. You fell for that if it's too, sounds too good to be true. Probably is.
Right.
So somebody said, well, I know somebody down there. If you pay me, then I'll get your taxes. And they'll go get a receipt, and then what they'll use they use fake credit cards, stolen credit cards to pay the bill. So they're bringing your receipt, make you think your taxes are paid, and then you pay them their money. And now they got.
Is it people really like that?
Oh, it's people doing this. It's criminals.
Oh, wow.
It's criminals.
Okay.
So what they do this all the time. They steal credit cards, and by the time, then when we get the report from the credit card company that is stolen, we put the taxes back on the bill, and then here comes the person saying, hey, my taxes were paid. What happened? Hey, it was a stolen credit card. Then they realize, oh, Then we find out later really what happened.
Wow, I'm so glad you cleared that up, because I know a lot of people at home are like, well, that was a thought in my head that I could get somebody to pay my bill for me.
Don't give anybody any money unless you're doing it at the treasurer's office, at the cashier, unless you're putting it in the kiosk or paying online,
Right.
or sending it in the mail, a check. Don't give anybody cash. No treasurer's. The staff is coming to your house, collecting your money.
That's right. There's no hookup, ladies and
No,
gentlemen. There
but
is
at the
hookup.
gas station is waiting.
Okay,
to
no
help
green
you.
dot cards, none of that.
No.
Okay.
So I just want to break that clear because it happens every year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
People stealing credit cards and then using them to pay taxes, get out of foreclosure, thinking, like, did you not think that we're going to find out it was a stolen credit card sooner or later?
No, they don't. That's why it's happening.
Yeah.
So I had another flyer brought up. This one is about probate assistance, because we want people to have opportunity to know, like you mentioned earlier, about the legal services that they can.
Yeah, these are
get
the
into.
agencies: Michigan Legal Services, United Community Housing Coalition, and Lakeshore Legal. Their numbers are here. You can go to our website, and this flyer's on our website. Ms. Karim Hall in our office is available to help. Her number's on the screen right now.
So these are for people who are struggling with the fact that they have a home that a deceased person left, and they hadn't made the transition to get the home over into their name.
Right, and they're getting a little intimidated by having, I got to go to probate court, I got to file this, I don't know anything about this, I can't afford an attorney, what do I do? Well, we got free help for them.
We got to have our friends from probate come see us, because, we'd like to make it easier for people, and that's one of the purposes of Just Ask. It's like, people have been asking for years, how do you do this? And so the show was created out of getting people knowledge so that they don't fall for the crap, like you said about that credit card
And they can
stuff.
save their property from foreclosure just by filing a probate petition. That's.
And so we got these new QR codes. Now, to me, QR codes is for the young versions, okay? People who can handle QR codes, that is for you to use.
It takes you to our website.
Right.
You can pay online. You can also get into a payment agreement online, too. You can check out your balances.
So PTA.WayneCounty.com. What's the PTA?
Property Tax Administration, PTA.
Okay, that one got on.
That's what we have a system. It's called Property Tax Administration, and that's PTA. And then we just use that as our
okay, that one got past me for me.
PTA,
PTA was. All right, okay. So if a person say they just bought a house with a quick claim deed, do you guys know or do you?
Well, here's what happens. People buy properties. There's deeds you can buy. You get a quick claim deed, which means you're buying whatever the person has. And you can also have a warranty deed, which means that there's a title insurance. The title company warrants is everything that you're buying. Everything that you buy is what they say it is. So no surprises. The water bill's paid, the taxes are paid. They've checked. The title company is standing behind it. So if anything goes wrong, you got title insurance. Well, a quick claim deed is I just sell you what I have.
Wow.
You don't really know if I have bad taxes unless you check it out, or you don't know if there's a water bill unless you check it out on your own or have someone do it for you. So that's why if you do buy a property on quick claim deed, which a lot of people say, hey, I'll just sell you this property. I just call you up, Marcia, I said, I'm going to sell you my property. I deed it over to you.
And
now you got it, and you record it, but then you find out, hey, there's a water bill, a $3,000 water bill. You got a $5,000 tax bill that you didn't know about because you weren't aware. This maybe the first house you ever had, first time you bought property. So this happens all the time too. People come in, say, oh, I just bought this property. It's like 6 months before the foreclosure. They just buy it because the person's about to lose it. They can't afford to pay the taxes, so they sell it to you.
But they didn't tell you about it.
Of course, they didn't tell you.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they need to make payment arrangements.
They got to make some arrangements quickly. I've even had cases where people actually, we had to go beyond the call of duty, so to speak, and help people keep their property because they had a couple times people had gone in, bought a property, and had a huge tax bill, like $8,000 bill, water bill. They go put the roof on the house, they put new windows in the house, fix it up really nice, move the family in, then they get this. Then they find out it's about to get foreclosed.
That's a shame.
And so we said, look, we know that you wouldn't have done this had you known you're about to lose it. So just get on the payment plan and pay the taxes because I wouldn't really hate to see somebody.
Scammers are on the rise.
And the thing is, they may not be. Maybe they didn't say everything was paid, but you didn't know how to ask.
You got that
You
right.
didn't, people didn't know to ask. They didn't know to check because they're new to this housing game.
Right.
And so that's why it's good to get advice, legal advice, professional advice. Check it out.
And come see you guys.
Well, yeah, check it out. You know, because see, when you buy a property through a warranty deed, you have to have a what called deed certification.
Okay.
And then you have to certify that the taxes are paid in order to get a warranty deed. So they come down, the real estate broker or whoever's title company comes and checks, gets the certification from our office that the taxes are all paid.
Okay.
So there's no delinquent taxes. But if you buy a quitclaim deed, there's no deed certification.
You're in trouble.
You're on your own.
So I want to run through these flyers right quick before we wrap up. So
Sure.
I know that you always say good things about our first responders. So our police, fire, EMS, and healthcare workers, they can do what now?
And the veterans.
And
too.
the veterans.
They can get into a payment agreement with no money down.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
the benefit we try to offer them.
So I hope our viewers read this because I know they say, what's that up there? So, police officers, firemen, EMS, healthcare, and veterans. Payment
money
arrangement,
down.
No money down.
No matter when they come in.
Okay.
See, we usually these payment plans that are the non-interest reduction plans, the regular plans, you put 10% down between June and October. After that, it goes up every month. It's 20% in November, 30%, each month. By the time you get to March, it's 60% down.
Right.
So if a veteran comes in January, you need 40% down, they can put 0% down.
That's
or healthcare
good.
work, 0 down, get into a payment plan, start paying next month.
That's good.
So that's just some benefit we're trying to offer.
That's nice.
you know.
Really. Yeah. And you have now here we go, our save the date. This is the 9th annual Veterans
9th annual
Resource?
Veterans. We had some great veterans events. We have over 70 vendors that come, and we have about 400 to 500 people, veterans that come out to our events every year. And we had some great speakers. We had Navy SEAL, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps.
I always come through.
You always come.
That's right. I'm going to make sure I'm there this time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see it's November 20th at Wayne County Community College. And it's to me, it's like an all-day event. So, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's 10 to 3, but
nice
we stay.
lunch, all that.
We always have good food.
We sure do.
And people get to stay, and we want vendors to go to all the tables. I mean, we want the veterans, rather, to go to all the vendors' tables and take time and check it out.
Get your resources.
Get your resources. You got hearing aids, you got health food, health vision, vitamins and medicine. You have the VA hospital there. You got everybody.
Well, you know
there.
what, Treasurer, you are a true. I'm just honored. Like I said, every time you come, it's just really you're very, very supportive of all these different organizations and services, and we believe in supporting you as well. So we're getting ready to wrap up, but we want people to see the screen right here. Follow us today.
You can
So,
contact
ladies and
us.
gentlemen, you see the phone number, the 313-224-5990. You see the tax info at WayneCountyMI.gov.
That's our email address.
Okay.
Send us an email.
Treasurer@WayneCounty.com.
That's our
Follow
our
them
website.
on Facebook, Instagram, and the address down below where the office is located. So you can't go wrong. Okay.
All right.
All right. Now, so I'm gonna ask you, would you come back again? Because
Of course.
you're a regular now.
I'm come back all the time because I want to make sure that people are getting into their payment agreements if they need help, and that there's some people that their income is so low they should be exempt.
Yeah.
And every city and township has an exemption program for low income, so they should apply for low income exemptions because that means they wouldn't have to pay property tax at all.
Okay, we got to come back again.
All
And
right,
talk about that.
yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to run because he's on the road, and so we're on the road. But we will ask the treasurer to come back again and give you some more resource for information. And you know me, if you need to talk to us, 1-800-323-5336, or email me at Marsha@JustAskTalkShow. I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. And what do I always say? If you have a question about a person with a disability or just a general question, don't be afraid to ask Just Ask. I'm your host. Thank you.